So while many of us prepare to celebrate Thanksgiving this week, a new report about food insecurity highlights just how many families are struggling to put food on the table.
According to the Robin Hood Foundation, 1 in 3 New Yorkers and 40% of families don't have enough money to feed their household. The Bronx has the highest rate of food security across all 5 boroughs, and this morning we're joined by State Assembly member Amanda Septimo, who represents the South Bronx, to share what she's doing to change that. Assemblyman, thank you for being with us. We appreciate it. Hopefully I didn't butcher your last name.
No, you did great.
Too badly.
Thank you for having me.
Perfect.
All right, so we know that food prices have climbed, more than 30% over the last decade. It forced a lot of New Yorkers to go to food pantries. I mean, are the food banks able to keep up with this demand right now?
Right now, no. We've seen that even up to now, before we've seen the changes in SNAP cuts that are happening, before we've seen inflations, we know that pantries were just at their maximum. Very often you go, there's a line, and before you get to the end of the line, the food pantries are running out of food. And so now, with the rise of inflation and in the context of seeing federal benefits change, we anticipate that this need is going to increase dramatically.
Yeah, and we're seeing that the threat of losing those SNAP benefits may go away again. I mean, and we realized during the government shutdown, there's some 2 million folks here in New York that rely on that.
Yeah.
So what's being done to make sure that there is still produce and food available for these families?
Yeah, so we've seen emergency food providers really step up and work together to ensure that where there are gaps, they're making sure that people have access to the food that they need. But we know that there also need to be creative solutions to further the issue, because we're going to see demand go up. And so one of the things that we've just done is introduce the food rescue tax credit, which would make it so that restaurants, supermarkets, food distributors that have extra food, instead of throwing out that food, would receive a credit to be able to donate that food so that it doesn't go to waste.
I think most New Yorkers would be surprised at the amount of food that goes to waste from these restaurants every day.
100%. And it's not just restaurants, right? If we even think about wholesale distributors who sell to supermarkets, if your pepper is not perfectly shaped, then it's not going to go into that store. It's a perfectly good pepper. There's no reason that pepper should go to waste. But right now, it costs companies money to be able to donate, and this tax credit would make it so that these companies wouldn't lose money on paying the driver, providing the truck, because we know that costs are going up for everyone, and we want to remove this sort of barrier in a common sense way.
Yeah, but you're not stopping with this effort here. I know that you want to start some sort of food task force.
Yes, certainly. We have a lot of agriculture here in New York, but we have to think more holistically about how we grow our food. What is the food that we grow? Should we be diversifying the crops? And so this food task force will include emergency food providers like the pantry providers we just talked about, but it will also include government agencies, growers, businesses, to come together and say, let's zoom out and think about how food moves and grows and is spent and is bought and sold here in New York, so that we're not so vulnerable to the whims of federal policy when it changes.
When can we expect to see some of these changes occur, and how soon can we get these connections made?
Well, we're hoping to have this tax credit passed in this next budget, so that'll be in the spring, and we hope to get it off the ground immediately after that. There was something similar passed in Pennsylvania, and there was a dramatic increase in food that was no longer wasted once they were able to activate that tax credit. So we want to learn from our neighbors and take good best practices, but the task force will be coming together just at the top of the year. We have really great connections upstate, and really are looking forward to covering the full spectrum of food providers, so stay tuned for that.
Yeah, and beyond that, you think about everyday New Yorkers that are seeing families struggle, and we saw even government workers during the shutdown suffering.
Absolutely.
What can we do as New Yorkers to just help each other out during this time?
You know, I think one of the things that we talk about often is the SNAP cuts. SNAP went away for a while during the shutdown, and people sort of say that it's back, but it's back with really different requirements. And we are going to see many people not qualifying for SNAP. And so I think in this time, it's volunteer at pantries when you can, donate when you can, but also help folks who need to be connected to job opportunities. Nonprofits, I know, will step up in this time and make it so that people can volunteer, which then would qualify them for SNAP. But it really just means coming together and using the resources that we have to help people who are struggling, because we know there's many.
Well, thank you for the work that you do.
No, of course. Thank you.
And having you here.
Thank you.